Be orange.
So you're all going to be famous. Other people will be joining us. Everett. Oh,
Hey, Everett.
that's great.
Hi, Everett.
Whoever's owner, you might, if you can figure out how to change your name, we'd appreciate that.
Hannah.
Just to make it Everett. So how this is gonna go is I'm gonna MC here. Chris is helping on the administration. I hope you can also make Natalie a co-owner when she joins.
There's Jairus. Hi, Jairus.
Hey, Mom and Ethan.
Hi.
Chance for me to see my own kids.
Right. So you're
How's it
mostly
going?
muted. I'll mute all reasonably often. There is a button for raising your hand. So when we get to, yeah, except that I won't see that, Carolyn, usually. You have to electronically raise your hand.
Technology.
Where's that? There at the bottom, there should be a pen. Oh, right, at the very bottom, you might have to move your cursor to it to see it.
What does it say?
Is that under more?
Okay.
So when we're asking for people to give some feedback, we'll do that. Pastor Terry, if you could unmute yourself, would you be willing, are you ready to lead us in a prayer?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Let's do that. Well, Lord, we are so thankful for this means to be able to gather, even if it's from different and distant places, to celebrate this amazing and delightful life that Winnie Bradford led, and all the ways she impacted each of us and the world around her. So we give you thanks for this technology and for all the folks who have taken time to be here. And we just look forward to experiencing your spirit in this place. We know you're with us, and we know that you deeply and dearly loved Winnie and Lester both. And so we look forward to the ways that you make yourself known as we celebrate this life. It is in Christ's sweet and holy name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And one thing I also would like to do is sing a couple of hymns that were requested. Sorry, a little bit. But I want to intermix those a bit with some of the testimonials or stories. So Mary Beth, you intentionally have your hand raised?
Struggling, like the chat said, so I could find the hand. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So did you want to say something now, or you did? Okay. I will lower your hand here. All righty. Chris is the expert here. I appreciate very much him teaching me how to do Zoom, do the session a while ago. And he's co-hosting. And I will have to figure out how to bring up the chat window. Clinton mentioned you may have to toggle the participants dialogue to see raise hand. Well, while people are gathering up what they want to say, the two hymns that we know that Winnie wanted were In the Garden and How Great Thou Art. And I'm going to put into the chat window the lyrics to In the Garden. And I think, yeah, so, can I unmute all? I can unmute all. We're going to have Emily start us off. And I will unmute everybody. So if you, down at the bottom also is a chat button. And in that chat is the lyrics to Into the Garden. And I saw June was on. I'm sorry. Sorry, we can't get the piano key here to start us off. So I will unmute all. And Emily, you know the tune for this? Yes. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses,
And the joy we share has returned.
my ear, the song of God
His close
and
And
he
he
walks
with
with
me,
me.
and he talks with me,
with
and
me.
he tells
He
me I
am
am
his
his
own.
His
and the joy we share as
As he
none other has ever
has ever
known. And let's do
known.
the last verse if we could. This
guess
was
that's
that
it,
is no,
yeah.
this is last verse. All right, he speaks out. All right. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet.
It's so sweet,
Hush,
the
birds
birds hush their singing,
and the melody that he gave me within my heart is free. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I
I
am
am his
his
own.
own. And the
The
joy
joy
there
we share
is
as we carry
none other
has ever known.
That's interesting with the delay, huh?
A little bit.
Don't quit our day jobs.
Yeah, there was a bit of delay. So I'm gonna mute everybody again. Sorry, or there we go, the mute all. And does somebody here want to say something?
Do you want to say something, Emily, or? Well, I can say something. I guess I'll start. Well, I think there's probably not enough words to describe my mom. We've written so many things down and everybody's tried to express what she's done. But I think if we all could say we've left this world a better place, that would be one thing I want to put on my epitaph or my gravesite. But, she totally has raised the bar very high for the rest of us to do good in this world. She does, everywhere she went, she always made it a better place. And I don't think many people can say that. It's a tough act to follow, and I hope that we can at least put a dent in the world the way she and my dad have done that. So it's been an honor to be a part of it. We took it for granted because we saw it every day. We didn't realize it was that special, but she was an amazing woman. And she made deliveries and babies and all of those things for women's rights that we just totally have taken for granted as the next generation about. Yeah, Dorcas calls her a stealth feminist. But she really was an amazing woman. 100%, maybe 120 or 130% with everything that she did. So honors to my mom.
Thank you so much. And Sue is all right, yeah, Lorhan. Did you want to say something, Sue Erickson?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So I worked with Winnie. She was my proofreader for the bulletins, and she was a very particular proofreader, not only catching typographical errors, but saying, this doesn't make sense. How you should say this instead, which was helpful. especially when I was the one that had done the writing. If somebody else had created it, I was a little more hesitant to let her change their words. But the other thing was that she rang in bell choir with me. And when I started giving her rides to and from bell choir, and my mother has passed away, I think in '89, but I could look at Winnie and I felt like she was my surrogate mother. So what I couldn't do for my mother now, I was able to do for her. And I really appreciated the relationship we had.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feel free to speak up, folks.
And her volunteering. I mean, even with you, Sue, taking her to do the bulletins, that was just what, a year ago or right before her stroke? She still was going at 96. Right. Yeah.
And we
it was amazing.
Entering the attendance each day too.
And after her stroke, I did take the bulletins to her to have her try folding them. But it turned out that G had to probably do most of it, so we gave up on that.
Yeah.
we were still trying to keep her involved.
Yeah,
that was nice,
which is really nice.
And you're secretary at the United Methodist Church, which is a huge part of her life. I should have introduced you, Pastor Terry, the pastor. Sorry, I'm a terrible MC because I'm choking up here.
No, it's good.
Anybody? So there's Debbie. Go ahead, Debbie, please. Go ahead now. I did fail to unmute you.
Here we are. Good morning. I have had the pleasure of knowing Winnie and Lester for the whole time I've been at the United Methodist Church, which probably spans 25 years or so. And in the beginning, I had the pleasure of working with both of them with the youth and the Girls and Boys Fellowship, the younger kids moving into the older kids. And honestly, the biggest kid, no matter what the age group was, would have been Lester, right out front always with Winnie right behind him. But Lester led our hikes with the youth. Winnie was present with ideas, constant ideas on fun things to do, challenging things to do, always ways to help them remember, always to find a way to be helpful and to be of service to the people around them, not only physically around them, but around them in spirit, and to remember that our community isn't just the community we see, that we're part of a global community. And those two walked and talked global kindness, global service. And the fact that they brought that into the kids who were coming through the church. And then as older kids who were at the church, that they continued to teach us by their actions and their love. I am so grateful for the love they shared with all of us at the church. And honestly, I blink and I'm with Lester at the top of little mountain or big rock or whatever with the kids in a heartbeat. And then I'm back up at the sanctuary with Winnie, and we're working with the kids on the our anti-malaria campaign, with the nets, nothing but net campaign. And she suggested our skit. She came up with the skit that we did for the church, which was, we had a group of kids be the net and a group of kids be mosquitoes. And then we had one soul sitting inside the net, and they had this whole skit. And honestly, I couldn't even watch the kids because I was watching Winnie, who was laughing the entire time with that sparkle in her eye, and her shoulders were shaking and she was laughing. And Lester and Winnie were just loved through and through. And I mourn their loss for all of you, but I am beyond grateful for all of us to have been touched by both of them. So thank you for sharing your parents with us.
Thank you, Debbie. That was very sweet. Are we mostly alphabetical here? Luke, if you can unmute yourself, Luke, if I can find you. There you go.
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay, go.
Thanks, Ethan. Yeah, I just wanted to say really briefly that what I admired most about Winnie, I think, was her bravery And I think it's hard for any of us to imagine sitting here, 70 years later, the strength and the courage it took for her to strike out and lead the life that she led. And I think it's just incredible to reflect on that and to be here sharing in the legacy of that. It's really remarkable.
And who are you?
Oh,
Who are you to
He's
Winnie?
related to Winnie, yeah.
I'm Winnie's grandson. I'm Joel's son, Luke.
And who's that lovely lady with you?
This is my fiance, Courtney.
Yeah,
Getting married? When's the wedding again?
September.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're getting legally married this year in September. It's coming
Very
right
good.
up, and then the big wedding has been
Very
postponed
exciting.
to next.
So it's all continuing on.
Mhm.
Lynette, is this working? There we go. Lynette, could you say something?
Sure. Well, Winnie and I went way back to 1976 when I was a brand spanking new nurse midwife, and I probably did actually know a fair amount about delivering babies, but I really didn't know very much about all the things that Winnie taught me. She was my mentor as I came to Mount Vernon to work in the birth center. And I get a little choked up, but I was so, having come out of the structure of the medical community, Winnie was interested in taking care of people. She was interested in good medicine for sure. But her question wasn't, how does everybody else do it? Her question was, what does this mom need and how can we meet her needs? And out of that, she started first the home birth practice in the birth center. And the 1970s were a very long time ago. But at that time, husbands weren't part of the birth process. Women had very little support. I had come out of a nursing experience back east where moms basically labored by themselves and nurses happened in now and again. But Winnie understood what it meant to be a person and what moms needed, not just the physical things. And as a result of her birth center, which went on for years and years, even after she and Lester went back to the mission field, the hospital changes in our valley and in Mount Vernon are there to this day, where families become families. Moms learning to nurse their babies are kept with their babies, which had not been the case before. The thing I remember that impressed me so much, that was so totally almost bizarre, were the Billy lights, the treatment for newborn jaundice. And I'm sure Dorcas and Julie remember this. And Lester and Winnie made these big racks of basically shop lights because the treatments for the babies were really just blue fluorescent lights. And they said, why do these babies have to be hospitalized for that to happen? Because at the hospital, the babies and the moms get separated. And it happens at about 3 days when the mom's milk's coming in. And so she's miserable, the baby's miserable, the breastfeeding gets totally screwed up. These people need to stay together. So she would send the parents home with these shop lights. Sometimes in those days, the parents were out somewhere with wood heat in a little cabin someplace. The babies had to be kept at 90 degrees because they had to be nearly naked in order for the lights to act on their skin. So the parents would hang these lights in a shower or someplace where they could have a small space to keep that baby warm and come back every day to get their Billy lights changed. The medical community was shocked at the idea of this. And Winnie didn't care. This is what the babies and their moms needed. And the moms thrived and the babies thrived and the breastfeeding happened. And she just did it.
I love that.
It really, If another person, I'm not the only person that saw this and influenced them for the rest of their lives in our valley. It changed
Thank you so much.
people in huge ways for a very long time. So
That was a great
I can't.
gift.
We're
Yeah.
very proud of that change she made
Yeah.
there.
It was a great gift.
And it showed that she and Papa were also a team. So they worked together to come up with the lights, and yeah,
Right.
it worked.
Thank you.
Yeah, eventually they actually a patient made a wonderful little box,
A
an
box,
incubator,
yeah.
where babies could just be on this little shelf. I still have one of those boxes, but it was a
nice.
beautiful wood box and simplified the whole thing. In fact, my youngest daughter spent quite a few days in that little box because of jaundice and stayed home with me.
Yeah.
So it all it all worked out.
Amazing.
But she did many other things as well, of course.
So Lynn
Ravenstein.
Ravenstein, could you, is this unmute
Unmute,
working?
yeah.
I have to click it twice.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm unmuted. I had many thoughts that came to mind thinking about what I wanted to share. I've known Winnie and Lester since we moved here in '97 through the church. And this is Randy. He and Lester had many projects together, trimming trees and going on hikes, and great memories that way. But I remember a lot of what I remember too, having worked with the youth and the kids there, was Winnie's dedication as a Sunday school teacher. She not only was involved in all those kinds of things involving Christian education, but they both supported the youth incredibly. And we had a family camp out once where Winnie and Lester came at Fort Evie, and they came and slept in their pickup truck, which I was pretty impressed about. And I wouldn't see myself doing that at this age. But they were so consistent with all the youth fundraisers and everything that we had going on. But the word that really sticks out, I kept thinking of in relation to Winnie, was her legacy. And you all have mentioned that already with the work at the clinic. But the Bradford House is such a gift to this community. And Winnie was focused and determined. Those are two really strong qualities. And so I think it's a big part of why we at the church have an accessible bathroom with shower facilities now. I mean, she really stood strong on that. And the way they always shared their travels and their experiences with the church and with always made a big impression with all ages, I think. So those are some of the memories and the gifts I think that she gave through her legacy that will continue in this community and in the church family.
I appreciate that, Lynn. And what you said at Lester's memorial was very nice too. And Suzanne, could you say a few words, introduce yourself and say a few words?
Sure. I'm Suzanne Tripp. I'm joining from Seattle. And I want to represent certainly the hundreds, for all I know, maybe the thousands of women whose babies Winnie delivered. And, there's the saying, you're born on under a lucky star. I feel like my son Patrick, whom Winnie delivered in Juba in the Sudan, was not only born under a lucky star, but born into welcoming arms because Winnie delivered him. And I'll forever be grateful for that. It was a wonderful experience. And then Winnie, believe it or not, enlisted me, an art history major in college, to help her with a few other births at her birthing center. So talk about unskilled labor, but it was a privilege for me. And to the whole Bradford family, I just loved both your parents. Huge admirers. They were smart and dedicated, and gosh, what a trailblazer Winnie was, to go to medical school back in the 40s, and then to be, initially thinking she'd go off to China, and then to, go to Africa, then back to Mount Vernon and start the birthing center. And then in retirement, she and Lester went back to Africa and then to Pakistan. Just amazing. And so I admired that combined with their humility and their love for humanity. I mean, it just was practiced in every day and every breath they took. So I do miss them both, and but I know that their legacy continues with you all and with the good works that they left behind that many of you have mentioned already. So my love to
and your new grandbaby too, Suzanne, yes, right? Patrick has had a baby now.
My son Patrick, whom Winnie delivered almost 38 years ago, just had a baby himself in June, and I feel like he is another one of Winnie's babies by extension. So, yeah, I'm thrilled about that. So.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Sue, I don't know your last name. Did you have something to say?
Oh, sure I do.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Hi.
Here I am. Well, I've known your family as long as you've been in the church, and we love all of you very much and loved your parents dearly. Your dad and my dad could go skiing after 70 for free and did quite a bit.
They were always practical, right? Yes.
Very practical. And your mom and dad were so good at the end of my parents' life of coming to visit my mom after she had had a stroke. And it wasn't easy for them to make the journey down those halls at Mountain Glen, and yet they did. And it brought my parents comfort. And I would have to say, to sum up your parents, I felt they were the hands and feet of Christ. They were humble. Material things did not mean things to them. It was people that mattered. And I would watch them, and they would seek out people who were new in the church, who were there the first time, and they would sit and visit with them, be interested in them. They put others before themselves. They would pick up dear people from church that needed a ride and would transport them back and forth. I think the word is humble. And yes, they were strong, intelligent, and bright, but they laid down their own wishes and their own material things for others. And I think one of the sweetest memories I have is the 16 years that I was organist. I'd always look out at the congregation, and there I'd see little Hannah sitting there with her grandparents, and it was so precious. And I just watched her grow up, sitting between her grandparents, and they would just faithfully bring her. And I see what a privilege it has been for her to honor her grandparents. And she's given so many parties and celebrations for them, and they've loved every minute of it. And then to see her get married too, what a joy. So anyway, we love all of you very much, and we're sorry for your loss, but what a legacy and what a heritage you have to carry on.
I appreciate so much, by the way, how much the church has supported her and Lester.
Yes. Yeah.
My unmute is behaving slowly. There you go. So Robin and Bob, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm Bob Yount. Winnie is my aunt, which I met for the first time about 2 years ago through a DNA search. And I've got to say, just echoing what so many people have said, both she and Lester were so accepting. Because imagine after 62 years, all of a sudden somebody comes popping into your family that you didn't know existed. But they welcomed us with open arms, and it was so immediate. When you meet someone that's already in their 90s, to be impressed by them is such a huge accomplishment. And I work with rocket scientists every day. So to meet Winnie and hear her accomplishments and what she and Lester had done over the years was just so impressive, and such a good person, and getting the chance to sit and talk with them, 3 or 4 times, and then to spend an extended time at Lester's service talking to Winnie and really understanding what an intelligent and caring and thoughtful and amazing person this was. I consider it a benchmark and a red letter day in both our lives that we were able to connect with them and see them. My only regret is that we didn't meet years and decades earlier, but that goes hand in hand with the blessing that I feel that we did at least get to meet them while they were still here. So thank you. Everybody has been so welcoming to both of us. So thank you, everybody, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pastor Terry? I can't hear you, Pastor Terry. Something's wrong.
Sorry, nope, I didn't have my mic on.
Okay.
I probably knew Winnie for the shortest time of anybody on here. I've only had the last 4 years to get to know her since I came to this church. As someone's already mentioned, described Winnie as focused and determined. She was in her 90s by the time I got here, and I would say she was probably the quietest absolute force of nature I've ever met. She was never, made a big ruckus, or at least I never heard her make one, but she also never forgot something that she had decided to do. And never missed a chance to raise it again, to say, can we do this? What about this? How does this get done? And of course, she knew how to get things done. That's for sure. So she was a woman who definitely knew how to get things done. And I just can't even imagine the number of lives that she has impacted literally across the globe. And I just also really want to give thanks here today to both G and Amanda, who were part of this caring team for years. And boy, what a dedication they had to Winnie as well. And, the impact that Winnie and Lester had on our church and our community is absolutely immeasurable. But this is a great example for me of how grief and joy and celebration all get mixed together, because they are already deeply, deeply missed. But we cannot come to this without a spirit of celebration for the people they were and all that they were able to share because of that. So I give thanks. I join you all in mourning her death, and I celebrate that she's I just imagine she is having a great time today. Now she really can see it all. So thanks be to God.
Thank you. Sis? Did you ask to unmute? Why is it so slow?
Hello.
Oh, you're not. Yeah.
Oh, she's you.
Is there an echo?
There is kind of.
I will mute myself.
Hi, I am Emily, daughter of Julie, granddaughter of Winnie and Lester. It's really nice to be able to see family on here and friends. One of the most amazing people I've ever met, including my grandfather, this pair of two incredible human beings who had a bevy of strengths and love for others, but above all, they valued and honored kindness. And with that kindness, they created the most beautiful community wherever they went, and were fundamental in being the change that they wish to see in the world. I just hope that we all can carry that on with us in our own way, because we will forever have those memories and life lessons that we've learned from them. And we can value those and pass those on as we share the light with other people we connect with. So thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you so much, Emily. I don't know what the echo was.
Yeah.
Didn't see anybody else has signed up. I wanted to do please say something. Mary, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, but Winnie's little sister Mary has been a great support to Winnie over the years. I don't know how she shows up on yours, but she's close to the top left on mine. Appreciate you showing up. And Lester's sister Carolyn is here. Very nice to see. I don't know if you all know about her book that she wrote. How many years ago now?
When did we say? 8 years ago, was it?
Years or so ago.
7 or 12 years. I don't know.
But we managed to get that uploaded. So if you go to the website you found this link from, you can see that online as images of pages.
You can read it for free.
Read it for free. You used to have to pay $60
Special today.
for it.
Special today.
Thank you, Caleb.
Oh, what? Caleb has it?
Thank you so much.
Aww.
Oh.
Good.
Okay.
Aw, signed by Winnie.
Yeah.
That's an autographed book. That's expensive.
Right.
Yeah. Double the price. Yeah, it's been nice cleaning out their place because a lot of memories, but also because they didn't choose to collect lots of things and they live simply, they have made our lives very easy. Not quite as easy as what Joel made for Luke and Everett, but but it really is nice. And all the pictures we've been looking through and just time spending with family has been very, very nice as well.
They were both, over the last couple of years, very open about they were nearing the end of their life.
You want to make it easy? Yeah.
They were prepared. They
Right.
wanted to make things easy for us because they knew it would be coming up. So
Yeah. That's good.
yeah. So the only other hymn I had prepared is "How Great Thou Art," that Winnie requested. And again, I put the lyrics into the chat if you know how to open that. Don't have this memorized. You want to start us off again, Julie?
Okay. You want to unmute people or you?
Oh, right. Sorry. And I need to unmute everybody so we can join in.
Okay. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe display. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and lead me home, joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall with humble adoration and then proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then
sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How
How
great
great
thou
thou
art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God,
to thee.
how great thou art, how great thou art.
You know, music was so important to her as well. So everywhere we went, even in Cuba's dad had started
No,
a
I'm gonna
choir.
do
What
Gideon's
choir
face.
did you have? Did you do the choir? No. And so she would gather up whoever was standing in the organ or a little piano or something. You know, it's always everywhere around the world. She always had music. So that was a great, she would love this. She would love that we're all singing with her today. This is amazing.
And you're all muted again, sorry, but except Carolyn, could you please say something about your sister-in-law?
Your favorite sister-in-law.
Favorite sister-in-law we've heard, yes.
I guess I knew Winnie the longest of any of you.
Yeah.
Lester had various girlfriends, as you know. And then he wrote to me and said, I've met this special lady and I've asked her to marry me. But he said,
wow.
She's just too great. I don't think she'll marry me. But she did. And off he went to Africa to marry Winnie, who none of us had met, but they didn't come home on furlough for quite a while. I think Dorcas was even born before they came back. And it was my great joy to have her as my sister. I'm with Emily. I cry over everything. So, Emily, you just shouldn't have cried.
Yeah. She gets that from her mother.
And Julie.
Yeah.
We cried so much. One time, the only way we could get Julie to stop was to have ice cream. But Winnie indeed was my favorite sister-in-law. And I am so proud to have known her. And we all loved her very much. And what a great legacy. One time I was home with my youngest, Marianne, who was sick, throwing up. And so as usual, my mother's house was full of people, family. So I said to Winnie, come check Marianne out. So she comes down to my bedroom with a little black bag and checks Marianne out and says, well, because she couldn't practice in the United States, she had been in Africa so long. So she said, well, my recommendation is to take her to the doctors.
So did you?
I think I did.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where she had water that she shouldn't have. So anyway, but I didn't see a lot of Lester and Winnie because we lived in different, usually other sides of the world or other sides of the country. But the many times that I did, and we did keep in touch, that she was really such a joy and a lot of fun. But Sally and I couldn't help laugh listening to all you people sing because the echo was pretty bad.
Yeah,
and the one thing that hasn't been mentioned is your mother's beautiful voice.
Yes, exactly.
Contralto voice. And my mother used to embarrass her terribly because she'd always wanted to sing.
I didn't know that.
Do you remember that, Ethan?
No, I didn't.
Ask Winnie to sing, and which she would do dutifully. But anyway, I'm sorry I'm not there with you.
You're here with us.
Appreciate you joining us.
You're here with us.
One story about my mother is we were at Carolyn's place. She was hosting most of the aunties. I don't know how Kelly and I snuck in there, the aunts and uncles, the previous generation, Lester and Winnie's generation. And Kelly was pregnant with our first child and at some point lay down on the floor. And everybody's a little concerned. And she said, "Oh, it's okay. I'm just feeling a little faint," because she was pregnant. And Carolyn said, "Oh, could I get you something to eat? Maybe a Klondike bar?" And she said, yeah, I think that would help. And so Carolyn went and got her Klondike bar from the freezer there. And Winnie raised her hand and said, I'm feeling a little faint too.
Yes.
And then
So I had
the other aunties there said, "Oh yes, me too. I'm feeling a little faint." So Carolyn brought Klondike bars for everybody.
That was nice. Yeah, that's hard because those were also my favorite, and I think I cleaned out my freezer that day with the Klondike bars.
That was
But
very generous.
I have very happy memories of your mother and of course your father. So
We didn't say
anyway, I
she's
just
your favorite.
wanted to
You say
say
she was your favorite, but you have to say how many sisters-in-law you had to make her. You know, you had all those sister-in-laws, so she was very special. Yeah.
well, one of the last times that I said that to her, and I always told her she couldn't tell anybody that she was my favorite. So it was after her stroke, wasn't it, that I told her that? And I said, "Now don't tell anybody." And she laughed because
I have a
of course,
secret.
she couldn't. But anyway, I have very happy memories, and my love to all of you.
Love you, Aunt Carolyn.
Thank you so much, and Carolyn.
Okay.
And you're muted. Nobody else has hands raised? Do I have to call on people in the class?
Yeah, class.
Oh, there, Denny. I got to find you in the list here unless you can unmute yourself. I see you there.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so slow. Oh, I just messed it up. All right, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Well, I am probably the youngest person to meet Winnie, but I do recall that the reason I could have a home birth in Tacoma, Washington was because of Winnie's work. And I thanked her for that, but I think the most valuable thing I take from Winnie is out of Enid, Oklahoma, who went through the worst part of the Dust Bowl and depression and all of that. Out of all that struggle came such a valiant hero for the rest of us. I'm very grateful to have had the little bit of time I've had with her. And to read her book was like one of the greatest adventures of my life. And I value so much her generous Christian spirit and making sure that she lived the path that God put her on. Mm-hmm. I know there's a celebration in heaven. That's it.
Okay. And the co-helper here, Natalie, granddaughter.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm Natalie, Julie's daughter and Winnie's granddaughter. And I'm going to try not to cry, but as you've heard, it comes pretty naturally to our branch of the family. So I probably won't be successful. But one thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and something that people haven't mentioned yet, is that Grammy really did not care what other people thought about her. She did not care about being liked, which didn't always make her the most fun to hang out with, but I think might be one of her most important traits, because it's what drove her and to do all the things that she did, because she never once was like, how are other people going to react to this? You know, oh, will they think, you know, I'm stealing a spot from a man if I go to medical school, or will they think I'm being too heavy-handed of an editor on this newsletter? Like, that was never a consideration for her. And we talked about her feminist streak and her revolutionary tendencies, and I think that's one of the things that made her so revolutionary, especially as a woman, and a woman in that era, to really not care about how people were responding to you and whether people liked you. And then marrying into the Bradford family, where I feel like being liked and adored by others is such an important trait for us, and something we aspire to maybe more than we should. And that was never a concern for her. And it really allowed her to do so many amazing things. And it's something that I think we can all learn from and try to imitate in that way of just doing what we think is right and what we think needs to be done and not really caring how other people are going to respond, if they're going to think we're crazy or weird or overly ambitious, to just do it, because that's how she lived her life, with that determination. And I liked Pastor Carey's phrase, force of nature, because that's how I would describe her as well. She was a force of nature. And it's hard to think that she's not with us anymore because of that.
Thank you so much, Nance. Why is my button so slow? Lori, as soon as we get, there you go, you're unmuted. Could you please?
Okay. Yeah, I have a story. So I've known Winnie and Lester since the whole Bradford family moved to Mount Vernon. I think I was like, I don't know, 5th grade or something like that. A lot of my time that I've spent with Winnie has been through the education part of church and Sunday school and vacation Bible school. And I tell you, she was one of our most faithful volunteers up until probably about 2 years ago. And the story that I'm thinking of, I think happened about 3 years ago. She had a walker with the wheels on it, but only used it because she knew she was going to have to be walking around the halls at church. And she was leading a group of kids that were 3rd and 4th graders. And I was helping to set the classes. And I noticed that her group had this set of twins that were kind of challenging. And I was a little bit concerned because the little boy was just very, very active. And, but you know, Winnie could take anyone in hand and make them her best friend. And partway through one morning, I'm walking down the hallway of the church and I noticed that this young man is pushing Winnie's walker and Winnie is holding on to his shoulders. So she had given him a special job to do. And it just, you know, made it for him. That was a great week. And I love that my kids and all the kids had this amazing role model to show the kids that you could be 92 or 93 years old. The children were very special part of the church, and that you can continue to work. You never stop. You just keep doing what you do until you can't do it anymore. And last really fun moment I had, I think, with Winnie, well, one of them was at the UMW Christmas tea. Amanda and her daughter brought Winnie to the tea. And Kathleen Wilkes-Pierce had brought all these crazy Christmas hats for us. And we all had these Christmas hats on. And it was so much fun. So I thank you for this opportunity to hear all these wonderful stories, and will dearly, dearly miss your parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori.
And you've grown up pretty good too yourself, Lori.
That's but we're out of folks who've raised their hands. Someone was waiting to not impose on somebody else's time, could speak up. Otherwise, I could thank some people individually that I recognize, but I don't know if I recognize everybody.
Jairus has his hand up.
Oh, Jairus has his hand up?
Look at
Physically
him.
hand
See
up.
his hand? No,
You're
he had it
physically
on there.
using your hand up. All right.
No, he had that yellow hand, I think.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you can unmute yourself, Jeremy. You're technologically sophisticated.
Cool. Well, hey everyone, I'm Jeremy.
there,
I'm all right. I'm the son of Julie, and also a crier. This is my girlfriend Kendall. She's sweet. She was singing along. She knew the hymns already too, so it was perfect. But I just wanted to bring up a funny memory that I had because Caleb reminded me right now too. And for Thanksgiving, we normally go for Thanksgiving because we're in California, so we normally drive up every year for Thanksgiving. And we always know that the turkey neck always goes to Grandma, to Grammy. And so we would always just give her the turkey neck, and she loved it because it was the tenderest part of the turkey, and it had the best flavor and everything. And one year I walked up, and I forgot who told me. It was either Joel or it was freaking Caleb, or someone in the kitchen was just like, you should walk over there and act like it's your wiener. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I walked over, and I had it on the plate really close. And so she just pulled it, and she's like, what did she say? I've emasculated you in front of everyone. Oh. And everyone was just like, what? And just like, everyone cracked up. It was just so funny. But she was just a jokester also, and just loved to have a good time. And she was just really sweet and loving, and she was the best. And I'm really happy that I had all those opportunities to hang out with her and burn my hands off washing dishes with her. And
Oh my gosh.
You liked it very hot.
Yeah.
yeah, very. It's never hot enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and love seeing everyone here too. It's really fun. So, all right, I'll switch it back over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jers.
I'm not using boiling water to wash the dishes just in spite.
You're being a
Because
bad
she
daughter.
can't tell me what to do now. Oh my gosh. I would go to wash the dishes and she would push me aside, as anyone who's washed dishes with her knows. She had 2 pots boiling, one on the stove, and then she had one of those hot pot things. And even though their water came out boiling from underneath,
Thanks to Harry fixing
yeah.
up the.
But it was, oh, she just, with the boiling is hot water. I'm like, how the heck are you doing this? Yeah, she was very specific on her dishes. Yeah, so I'm not doing that now. I just want you to know, not doing it.
The confession here in front of everybody.
It's good for the soul. It's good for the soul.
So, Carolyn, did you want to say something? My daughter Laura Steen saw you waving your hand.
Yes. It was wonderful to know both your parents. I think they're the closest things to saints we'll ever see. But did you know that there would be probably no Habitat for Humanity chapter in Mount Vernon were it not for Winnie? In the middle of the 1980s, Winnie was the outreach chairman for the church. And she decided, and I say that directly, she decided that the church needed some kind of a project. And so she looked up and found that the Methodist Church has a program called short-term volunteer missions. And she paged through the catalog and found that you could go and build for Habitat for Humanity in other communities. And nobody else is in on this. Nobody else is planning it. And she presented this and then promoted it. And a group from our church in Mount Vernon went for 7 or 8 years to Yakima and built houses. We went for a week, and in a week we could frame a house from the foundation was there, and we could put the house up, and then other people came for the finishing. And I thought that was quite an accomplishment for her. But she, I believe, began to talk about, why don't we have this in Mount Vernon? And it happened. When she got an idea, and the idea might have seemed unreachable to all the rest of us who thought we had good sense, she just went ahead and made it happen. And now in Mount Vernon, I don't know how many families are living in houses they would never have been able to have if it weren't for Winnie's determination. And of course, Lester did a lot of carpentry work on those houses as well.
He was always the one climbing the roof and trimming the trees. They would put him on.
Yes.
Yeah. And they got to meet Jimmy and Rosalind as well, Carter, and love that experience because of Habitat. And I have to say, when my dad was starting to fail, Habitat was wonderful. The volunteers came, and especially, we call him Good Son John. I think he's on, isn't he? John's
He was on John Senior.
Yeah,
I don't.
but he was always there helping with the Habitat volunteers. They put walking rails down.
They put in the ramp, right?
On the ramp for them to get up and
for
down.
Winnie, when Winnie was first had her broken hip.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
That's when they put in a ramp at the trailer for her.
Yeah, so Habitat ended up blessing them as much as they blessed Habitat. So it's amazing when you give something, you get a lot back, and you don't realize all the blessings that you get back in your life. So, you know, they gave so freely, but also were given a lot of gifts as well. So they appreciated all of that so much, as did we, their family.
So the lesson I've got from that of when I volunteer, that folks who volunteer are nice folks. So you get to
you're with other nice people who are believing the same things that you believe, which is a gift as well. Yeah.
Anybody else want to try waving? Or you can just unmute, speak up if you like. Oh, Rose.
This is Rose and Steve from Sudan.
Oh,
well, not in Sudan anymore.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
We are forever linked with Winnie and Lester. As Julie and Ethan probably know, Winnie delivered our son Jeff in Juba. Jeff was the first American white baby born in Sudan in many years. And Winnie was able to go ahead and deliver Jeff in the back bedroom of her home. And our lives again are forever linked with Winnie and Lester. Not only were they role models, mentors, friends, we were so fortunate to visit them about 4 years ago in Mount Vernon to renew those memories from 1979 on.
And this is Rosie. Someone had said earlier that Winnie just did it. And I put this on the memory board, but I want to say it again. We came to Sudan with millions and millions of dollars worth of project, and we were in 3 different locations, and Winnie couldn't be on our project because she wasn't an agriculturalist. And by golly, she got money, and I think it was from the Dutch, and built birthing center, maybe centers, and had more impact in the time, that first few years we were there with her, than I think our project did. Yeah. And so the Just did it. I just want to she's very proud of you kids, and I probably didn't talk about how wonderful you were in front of you, but she talked about every one of you, and we want to just to remind you. I know you know it, but you were the most important part of their lives. They had their other goals and their calling, but you kids were really, really important. And one story she had from Sierra Leone was that one of you kids was asked by somebody, an expatriate, well, what do you call the people in Sierra Leone? And one of you kids piped up, we just call them people. Mm-hmm. And I love that story. We just call them people, and that's.
And I think it was a black-white issue too, right? It was.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
They use the
N-word.
N-word. What do you call
I have
N-word in Africa? You know.
Do you remember it, you guys? Do you remember it? Because that just stuck with me. I always say it now. We just call them people.
So it was the barber.
What?
It was the barber. My dad was getting a haircut. And the barber in Louisiana in the 60s, I think, or in the 70s.
Wow, that's cool.
And the barber said, I hear you've been living with the N-words down in Africa. And my dad just kind of looked confused. And he said, or what did you call them? And my dad said, well, we just called them people.
Oh, I love that. It's so important for today's world. So, but thank you for sharing your parents with the rest of us, because our lives were changed forever since we first met them. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to see your faces too.
Yeah.
How many years has that been?
Wait, we don't talk about it.
Yes.
Yesterday.
38.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I put this on until noon but I'm not gonna sign out until everybody signs out. Hannah hasn't said anything yet, but I wanted to say special appreciation for her. Played an enormous role in taking care of the parents. She's Melinda's daughter.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. So much love.
And you can just unmute and speak up.
Also, thank you to Amanda and G for being such incredible caretakers, giving so much love and kindness and friendship to Grammy and Grandpa. They were partners up until the very end.
Yeah, she couldn't be here. She's at another job today, but she called in earlier. Yeah. And they were helpful to you, Sue, as well. G was your parents' caregiver as well, which was nice. I think you're muted, so sorry, Sue.
You can unmute.
Yes, your mother shared G with us, and it was the greatest gift we ever had. And fortunately, we've continued that friendship, and I love G very much, and Amanda is just incredible too.
She said that all her jobs were from Mama, you know, that wherever,
Yes.
like even like for your parents, she said, well, I think I know somebody who needs some help. You didn't even realize probably that she, you know, that was my mom kind of like 3
No.
steps ahead.
Oh yes, we are eternally thankful to your mother for her.
Yeah, it was great.
A gift.
A gift. Yeah.
And it's so poetic how Grammy started her career working with babies and bringing life into this world. And then towards the end of her career and her caregiving life, she was escorting people with care and love out.
Hospice. Yeah.
With love and hospice.
That's right. Yeah, she was a hospice volunteer for many years. Pages.
Oh, here's my cousin Erin. Hi, Erin.
Oh, you're muted though.
Yeah, we can't hear you, but I can talk to you. Oh, there.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't have much to say, but I could repeat what everybody has been saying, what a strong, I mean, she looked kind of feeble sometimes and elderly, but looks were deceiving when she spoke up. I remember when, well, of course, some people know every 5 years we have a big reunion, and then Lester and Winnie would make it east, and I hadn't seen them in a while, and they were in charge of the games, I think it was. And then after we had the speech, and then we said, okay, what do we have for games? And Winnie's voice boomed out, and she was just as sharp as could be. And this is how we're going to do the games, and had everything so organized. I was like taken aback. No, yeah, I mean, I'm glad I got to see her in January. Of course, she had already had the stroke and wasn't very talkative, but well, we had a good time and talked about Enid, Oklahoma, when my parents were there, and where my sister Cindy was born. And you could see Winnie's eyes light up and her smiling, so she knew what I was saying. But yeah, then she had my daughter Megan up. Lester and Winnie were well into their 90s, but they couldn't wait to host company. And of course, my daughter Megan had so much in common with Winnie. Megan loved to go to the Gaza or the West Bank and help the Palestinians, and I'm sure they had a lot to talk about. So I was glad that Megan could make the trip up from Oregon. And then, yeah, I remember when we climbed Mount Rainier with Joel and his kids, and my brother Tom and my brother-in-law Mike and Bo and a few others. Winnie and Dorcas put on a nice salmon cookout for us the day before we went up the mountain. The boys have to be well fed, and she had just boundless energy and was a great cook.
Yes.
So yeah, no matter how old she got, nothing stopped her.
There's a picture of the crew visiting on the website.
Yeah, from that trip.
Of you, Aaron, and other folks. Though not Bo for some reason. I just noticed finally I've got this arrow to move left and right through the panels of all the people who've joined in. I see Aunt Jane from Sierra Leone taught us at the boarding school at Kabbalah. I don't know if you want to say anything, Jane, but thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, she's the one Sierra Leone. I think you're the only Sierra Leone representative in this group. Oh. Yeah. Miss Eberly. We didn't call her Aunt Jane, didn't we call her Miss Eberly?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yes. She taught the
I just unmuted you if you want to say something, but
6th, 7th, 8th.
I'm sorry I'm being intrusive. I'll mute you back. And other grandkids are there. Hi, Caleb and Sarah. Thank you for showing up. And Caleb and Meredith.
We'll say who they are. Dorcas.
Yeah, Melinda's K Caleb, we call him.
Yeah.
He's with K. Dorcas is C Caleb there. And his prize of a wife, Meredith.
Then Alden.
And Alden and
Who is
Everett.
Alden? You haven't
Alden
seen
is
before.
my son.
Yeah.
And Everett is Joel's other son. Thank you for joining us, Everett. So nice to see you.
Yeah.
Allison was the first home birth.
Were you one of the first, Allison, that my mom? We have to unmute you.
Or you can unmute yourself.
I think Allison's trying to unmute.
Getting a little
Go up
confused.
and can you roll up to Allison?
Are you trying to unmute?
Wait,
You're
there you
unmuted
go.
now.
Okay, now.
Yes, Winnie delivered both of my sons, 1974 and 1977. And I think Isaac was maybe the second home delivery in Skagit County. Maybe, I don't think he was quite the first, but they were, as other people have said, they were Winnie's babies, and she left a huge mark on the county. I must say, I characterize my husband and I as alienated urban hippies that were into going back to the land. And Winnie just took everything in her stride. She never was judgmental about the people that she took care of. She just, if there was a need, she just went ahead and hiked into their homes and just was caring, tolerant, as you said, humble. And I just felt so much of her strength came from her deep, deep faith, because I can't imagine anybody being as fearless as she was, and without that resolve and faith that she had.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
My kids, Ezra and Clinton, don't have pictures on there, so I didn't notice them, but they're on too.
And Laura Steen.
Laura Steen.
And Everett.
So we mentioned Everett already.
There's Luke.
And Luke, but most important, I'm afraid she beats Carolyn for knowing Winifred the longest, is her sister Mary, who has also been very supportive over all these years. Did you want to say anything, Aunt Mary?
I think not. She just was a wonderful sister, and miss her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should brag about my aunt, but I don't know if you've seen those pictures, the early life, all the cousins. She was able to recognize every one of them, tell me the maiden names of all the people married into her family. I can't remember my own kids' middle names most of the time myself. Thank you so much, Aunt Mary, for all your help.
And you also were very special because she was a nurse, like a nurse anesthetist back in the day. I don't know, in the 40s and 50s, Aunt Mary? Is that right?
I graduated in 47.
Yeah. So she truly was also a trendsetter like her sister. So something to be proud of. Excellent.
And thanks, Mary. And I acknowledge Chris giving me all this help getting this set up, Dorcas's husband, and my wife Kelly is on. And lots of folks from the church, thank you. I don't recognize everybody to say personal thanks to all of you. Kathleen wants to say something. If you can unmute yourself, go ahead. I'll try and figure out how to unmute you myself. Okay.
Can you
You're
hear me?
unmuted. Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is
You can hear me, Ethan?
Yes.
Okay. I've been listening to everything everyone's been saying, and I just have been shaking my head and rejoicing in my heart. But I want you to know that she was a force of nature, for sure. Because when we came just 2 years ago, well, actually the very end of 2017, she and Lester greeted us. We became fast friends. We'd go over to her home, and Clark would take the he has a big trivia book. And so they got so used to those visits that Lester had Winnie calling us and asking Clark to come so they could play Jeopardy together. And it made me laugh because Clark and Lester really hit it off from the get-go. And so Winnie has been my mentor from the very beginning, and she introduced me to UMW and decided that I needed to be the social action coordinator when our other social action coordinator passed on. And so I enjoyed that. And then when Vacation Bible School came up in 2018, I'd only been in the church for 3 months. She decided that I was going to be the one that would pick her up every morning for Vacation Bible School and help her lead the kids from class to class. So I did that. And I would pick her up for all of our UMW meetings and take her there. And sometimes she'd ask me to pick up something from Publix if she and G couldn't, to share with everyone for our luncheons. And she was just a bright spirit, and I loved our car rides when I would go to pick her up. We talked about everything. As you know, she is so learned about everything. And we talked about spiritual things and things that were going on in the world. You're right, everyone is correct in saying she was quiet, but boy, she never missed a thing. And she would pick up on everything and always had something to say about it. She would say it quietly and sweetly and gently most of the time. At least with me. So she was just such a blessing in our lives. Both she and Lester really helped our transition, which was huge because we had lived in the same place for 40 years in the same home. And it was a huge move for us to come up here to be close to our child and our grandchildren.
But with Lester's main upbringing, then you could understand each other's accents.
Yeah, the
That's
language.
Oh, that's what started it. That I forgot about that because I heard someone in the social hall after one of our first church experiences, and they said Lester was from Maine because someone recognized my accent.
Yeah.
And so we still have property in Maine, and we're trying to sell it, and it's undeveloped. But anyway, so I just went right over and introduced myself, and it took off from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that was in December of 2017.
Wow.
So immediately we just connected right off the bat, like everyone does with Winnie and Lester. And then when we'd go to visit her down in Wam Beach, which took us a while to find the place.
Oh, yeah.
We wandered around for almost an hour and a half in the car trying to find the place. But we were so happy to have been there, and when she heard our voices and saw us come into the room, she just lit up, and it just, you could see her face. She so wanted to speak to us, but couldn't. But her face could speak to us, so I knew everything she was saying. And she always told me she was working hard and growing stronger. So she was just
that year. It was a tough one.
It was a tough one, and it's amazing that it's amazing how long she lived after that major stroke.
Yeah.
And it was just through her will, her sheer will and determination, because she wasn't ready yet. Yeah. Even though she was ready emotionally and spiritually for her whole life, but she just wasn't ready to let go yet. And, wanted to enjoy everybody's visits.
Mm-hmm.
She was an extraordinary woman who touched so many lives in a most meaningful way. And thank you for sharing her and Lester with all of us.
Well, I think the best thing is to thank all of you for sharing her with us, because they loved visits, as you know. I mean, there was always something to put out to eat, or, you know, stay for lunch, and she would cook till the end. She was, yeah, toast.
Oh, she had dinner for 8. I was at her
Oh,
dinner
yes, I know.
for
there's
last
for 8.
we had what she always cooks. She says her peanut butter chicken with rice.
My
And
favorite.
That's her favorite. Yeah, that's her famous dish.
Yeah. So we got to enjoy that too. And I've tried to make it and have miserably failed.
I was in Bellingham a couple days ago having lunch with a friend, and on their menu was African peanut butter soup. So I had to try it just to see if it was as good as my mom's or my sister's or mine. We all compete for who has the best one, of course. And theirs was pretty good, actually. I can't remember what was the rest?
Meredith. Caleb said Meredith.
Oh, Meredith is better. She makes a better peanut butter stew, Caleb. What the heck? Unacceptable.
A good husband.
Yeah. You just know that you want her to make it again, right? Yeah.
That was what I asked for at every birthday. What's your birthday meal?
Yeah.
It's peanut butter stew.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
But I tried to make it at college. I was in the eating club, just the student-run food service. And when it was my night to cook, I tried making that. It was not popular. I did not manage. Well, as my mother. Did you want to say something, Caleb? Your status is confused. No, he said no thanks. Sorry, I'm publicly bothering him.
Meredith?
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
We acknowledged G and Amanda, who've been with the parents for several years, including from with Lester. But towards the end, Winnie had round-the-clock care. And I appreciate the other caretakers who helped there.
I think Tabitha was on.
I think Tabitha was on. I don't know if you're still on. Thank you for that. And Kay Caleb has been computer support for the parents. I didn't mention that for many years.
All of Grammy's grant writing.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's
Thank
true.
you too. And Aunt Lee. I hope you weren't offended. I'll unmute you here. Sorry. There you go. You're unmuted now.
Okay, fine. Hello. I bring you greetings from Connecticut.
Yeah.
I'm Philip Kenneth's wife, and my family sends their love and best wishes in the passing of Winnie. We shall miss her. The first time I met her was after she had returned from Africa. My first view of her was in the slide views that we always had in Hebron after a baked bean supper in the living room, where we could see Winnie.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having this time together. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate
God bless.
That was sweet. All right, now I'm really going to cut it off, though. If nobody else steps up to say something, you can unmute yourself and say something, or electronically raise your hand. I can't see everybody at once to know if anybody's waving their hand physically.
Maybe.
I just would like to request a copy of that peanut butter soup recipe.
Oh, can we get Dark Julie to put that up?
We can post it.
I have it too.
We'll put that online.
And it was really good.
You know, we can put it on this same thing.
On the blog.
To tell you the truth, is one of these little this and little that recipes too. So we get
It's
20
never the
different
same
ways.
twice.
I have Grammy's recipe.
Right.
Oh, you do, Hannah?
I have it.
Okay. Or do you want to put it on? You can put it on this thing then. Put it in the comments or something.
Or just email it to me.
You have a Google account.
Anybody else?
I got it.
Thank you, Ethan. for compiling the pictures and scanning and inputting
He's
and
been working hard on that.
and putting together the music. So thank you very much.
Oh, and Kelly's. Right, I was muted there. Well, to avoid the echo. Pastor Terry, am I putting you on the spot? If you want to do a closing prayer, except this question, will the recording be available? Yes, I'm going to put a link to it from that same page where we link to the talk. And I'm sorry, Alden, before that wants to say something, please. Can you unmute yourself, Alden, and go for it?
I just want to point out she was always very affectionate toward grandkids. I don't think I ever left her house without a hug.
Yeah. Good hugger at the end. She didn't hug us a whole lot when we were young, but she made sure she hugged all the grandkids. That was good. Thanks, Alden.
Oh, look at the cat. I like your cat, Kathleen. Look at that face. Cute.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Terry? I'll unmute you there in case you do.
Sure. I'd be glad to offer a prayer if we're wrapping up here. Let's pray. Gosh, Lord, thank you so much for the blessings of this time and a chance to share memories and to just really give you thanks for all the ways that you worked in and through Winnie's life. And may we truly not only remember her with our thoughts, but by choosing to live more and more like her, to be bold, to be daring, to care for the world, to enjoy a good laugh, to engage all those people around us, and to just simply know that we are all just people. We thank you so much for this time. And for so warmly, we're sure, and graciously and delightfully receiving Winnie fully back into your arms. We give you our thanks. We do this in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Thank you so much. Amen.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop recording.